This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm joined by Carl Frampton over Zoom for first time in 2021. Carl, how are you? How's life?
I'm okay, mate. Yeah, just I'm at home at the minute, training away as normal and getting on with things, mate.
Carl, obviously, Happy New Year. I hope you're able to enjoy it as best as what you could during these times. Could you get up to much over Christmas?
Well, yeah, I was training. Obviously, I'm training for a fight that I don't have a date for yet, so I was still training, but it's far enough away that I didn't have to go too mad and too strict. I did train on Christmas Day. I just like to do that. I feel like it's right. Well, hold on, right. Can you sort yourself out, or will I sort you out? Right, okay, tell me. So my young lad needs his arse wiped in a minute, so we might have to interrupt this for a pause it for a second anyway. But
Do you want to go sort that? Do you want to go sort that first?
um, well, wait, he sits on the toilet for a while, so there's no point going now.
No worries. Carry on, mate. Carry on.
Well, hopefully we get a clean break as well. Sometimes we get a clean break and it's in one wipe and he's fine. So we'll see.
Well, Carl, pick back up there. As you said, you're ticking over at the minute. For a fight which you know is pretty much there, but waiting for a date like a lot of
Yeah.
fighters. What kind of update have you been given from Bob and from Top Rank?
See, well, obviously, speaking to Bob, Frank Warren as well, who has a big part to play in this fight too, and NTK as well. I've been speaking to Jamie Conlon a lot, and trying to figure out what's going on. And at the minute, no one really knows. I think what people are saying online and firing these few dates around, it's kind of what I know. I don't know any more than that. I think February is going to be the date. At some point in February is when I'll fight Jamel Herring. Where, what continent? I don't know. I think that the UK is a front runner at the minute. London is a front runner. I'm still waiting on a definite date. So, but I'm training towards a fight in February. I've
I
just
know.
got my call, so I need to go and do my
Yeah,
business.
carry
Sorry, mate.
on. Was it a clean break?
No, it wasn't. There was a few wipes.
Well, mate, it's up to you. We can start again because it was relatively early, or we can just carry on. It's up to you. I can
Yeah,
edit.
blast on. Yeah, no, blast on. I don't mind. Yeah,
All
fun
right,
and games, isn't it?
Carl, obviously,
Happens real life. It's real life.
it is indeed, mate. Fortunately, I don't need to deal with that for now. But yeah, let's pick that one back up there, Carl. Obviously, talk about the Jamel Herring fight. I know when you was first looking at that fight, you was hopeful of having that over in Belfast, having a kind of a homecoming of sorts for like a world title. How disappointing would it be that if that doesn't prove to be the case, and it does, whether it ends up in London or maybe over in the States?
You know what? I don't even think it's that disappointing anymore. I think with what's going on globally in 2020, I'm just happy that they're still talking about me fighting Jamel Herring and at the start of 2021. So I feel in a lucky position. I feel thankful and grateful that I'm still able to have the chance to fight and become a three-weight world champion. So obviously I wanted it to be in Belfast, but if that's not to be the case, then so be it. I'll be ready to fight anywhere in the world.
On a personal note, how frustrating of a period has this been for you, Carl? Because I know that, having spoken to Jamie, I've spoken to yourself before, you've said this is pretty much kind of your last chance on becoming that freeweight world champion and fighting for another world title, and you've lost a year of your career effectively, same way a lot of others have because of a pandemic.
Yeah, no, look, it's been frustrating for everybody, but and that's the thing. This hasn't been a frustrating year for myself. It's been frustrating for the whole world, the whole boxing community. People are struggling to get fights. I was lucky enough to have a fight in August of 2020. Some people didn't have that opportunity to do that, so I fought and get paid. So it has been frustrating for everybody, but I think that I've just been carrying on with things, and I feel like I'm in a lucky enough position and privileged enough. I've got a nice house, bit of space around me. When you're talking about lockdowns and stuff, I have a gym in my garage so I can go and train. I have nice hills to run around where I live and stuff, and I'm not locked in a tower block, which some people are. And people are struggling. So I don't feel like I'm struggling that much. So you know, I feel I'm lucky enough position.
From a training perspective, Carl, how have you found kind of trying to tick over during this period? You know, trying to get that balance effectively of not pushing yourself too much, but making sure you're still on it enough so that when you do know a date is around the corner and you have some confirmation, you're not kind of struggling to get down to the weight or trying to peak at the right time, etc.
Yeah, well, that has been probably the biggest issue that we've had, and I've been training for quite a while now. I think I've already got 7 weeks of training behind me. Some people only do about 6, 7, 8 for a full training camp. So I've got 7 weeks behind me, and I don't have a fight yet, so or a date. So I took it easier than normally over Christmas. I enjoyed myself, and I did just take over. That's what I done. Didn't let myself balloon up on weight. But I had already started some sparring. I sparring Andi a fair bit, done a little bit of sparring with Akif Diaz, you can go southpaw as well. Um, but I haven't done that in a few weeks now because I don't feel like I need to at this point. I'm going to Manchester on Monday. I will um, continue to spar when I get back to Manchester.
I was going to say, you know, what's Jamie been saying to you with regards to your training period over these last few weeks over Christmas festive period?
He's always trying to reel me back in a bit and slow me down and put me back. And I'm always someone who feels like I need to be doing more. But Jamie knows this game and he knows that he knows me as a fighter and as a man, and he knows when I should be sparring hard and when I should be having my hard days and easier days. And it builds up well. And he always gets me in incredible shape for the fights. And people want the Josh Warrington fight. It wasn't one of my best performances, far from it. But I think my fitness got me through that fight. I think that Josh was obviously extremely fit and his work rate was incredible. But I don't think if I hadn't have been fit, I wouldn't have lasted 12 rounds there. So I will be in the shape of my life for Jamel Herring. I will trust in Jimmy Moore. I'm always wanting to go too early, and he's the one that kind of pulls the reins in and makes me go at the correct time.
Jamel obviously fighting off his around September, October time last year when he suffered his eye injury in that fight. Just to touch on that, Carl, what did you make of his last performance?
Well, look, it wasn't a brilliant performance. I think he would admit that himself, but it wasn't a great performance. Aquendo was at one point a good fighter. I think Aquendo's about 37, 38 now. Past his best, and although Jamel Herring was winning the fight pretty comfortably, he didn't have it all his own way. And there was, I think that Aquendo had decent spells. I think that the finish of the fight was a little bit dubious, and I know he got some criticism from Andre Ward and Tim Bradley, who were commentating on the fight. Well, it wasn't a brilliant performance from him. My last performance against Darren Trainer wasn't a brilliant performance either. Both of us will need to up our games in the next fight, and I think we will. I certainly will anyway. I can't speak on behalf of Jamel, but I know that he will need to be better than he was against Aquendo to have any chance of beating me.
I mean, saying there that you didn't feel it was your best performance against Darren Trainer, and in Jamal's case, he may well feel similar with his Aquendo performance. Is that just simply down to kind of the circumstances, not having that big name fight to get up for, and also the fact that he's behind closed doors, you don't have a normal fight where you can experience?
Well, potentially, but he was fighting for a world title. So I think he should have been up for it a little bit more. I'm fighting Darren Trainer, who's a late replacement for no title, 10-rounder. I kind of had it in my head to not get complacent going into the fight, but it was hard not to get complacent, and I did get complacent. And I think that once I felt his power and I knew that he couldn't trouble me in the first round, it was hard to get out of second gear, really. But I think that who knows what this next fight's going to be? Who knows if there's going to be any sort of a crowd? I would love there to be some sort of a crowd. I was at Joe Joyce and Daniel Dubois, and I think they had about 6 of their family each in that small arena, and it was better than listening to absolutely nothing. So if we can get a handful in even from each side, it would be better than nothing.
When Carl, I was fortunate enough to go to Canelo Smith in Texas, had 12,000 fans there. The AJ fight just before Christmas, I had 1,000. When you are listening to those fights, what kind of goes through your mind? Does it make you especially appreciate just kind of the experiences that you've had from such a loyal following over your career as well?
Yeah, look, I want the fans back. It's people know, and it's something I'm very proud of. I have one of the most loyal fan bases in the world, and at my place in Belfast, the atmosphere created is hard to replicate anywhere else in the world. So it would be a shame to have this opportunity to become a three-weight world champion. One of the only British fighters ever to become a three-weight world champion, doing it against all champions as well. No voluntary defenses or anything like that. It's all champion after champion. So I've done it the hard way. The only ever Irishman as well to ever become a three-weight world champion. It deserves to have a crowd there, but if there's not, then there's not a lot I can do about that.
Carl, before I let you go, I just want to touch on a few other things. Touch on one of your campmates and a man who's also from Northern Ireland in Stephen Ward. He's got his own fight of sorts coming up with a Game of Thrones star in Hafthor Bjornsson. Just kind of your thoughts on that. I know I saw that you yourself and Chris Lloyd will be commentating on it.
Yeah, me and Chris are commentating on it. I'm looking forward to seeing what it's like. And obviously, Stevie is a boxer who is always looking exposure, always looking to get in the limelight, and that's what this game's about. A lot of the time, selling yourself and putting yourself uh, in situations where a lot of people can view you. So this is definitely one of them for Stevie. It's an exhibition fight against a non-boxer, but he's not fighting a YouTuber. He's fighting the former world's strongest man. So he'll need to be very careful, won't he? I've been told the ring isn't a small one. I was a bit concerned about that. I was asking Stevie about the glove size and stuff, but I think it's good for Stevie for the exposure. I'm looking forward to watching it as well and seeing what it's like. You know, Stevie should be able to do 3 rounds standing on his head. I know he will, but he's fighting an absolute monster. So I just think that I hope I don't have to come up with a line and like one of these famous lines and Stevie's on the deck like land knocked out. It's not going to happen. Look, it's not going to anything can happen in this game, but imagine it.
So I was about to ask Carl, kind of, how does Stephen approach this? Does he just look to kind of make sure he doesn't get caught by anything from Hafthor, just kind of dancing around the ring, or
Well,
does he get kind of involved just to live the experience as much as possible?
I don't know. I think he just needs to suss it out himself. I think I did give him a wee bit of advice. I didn't give him advice. You know, he's fighting a guy who's never fought before, who's incredibly strong. I just said, whatever you do, like when you get close and there's a tangle, there's no point even trying. Just let him throw you around. Don't even try to fight back because you're not going to be able to do anything against his strength and it'll just tire yourself out. But if I was Stevie, I'd be up on my toes and moving. Is it 3-2s or 3-3s? I'm not even sure, but he needs to move. I know that for sure.
Carl, just want to touch on another one of your, well, his ex-campmate now in Martin Murray. Last year, he fought Billy Joe Saunders, came to a unanimous decision defeat on the end and on the night, and subsequently retired. Just kind of going back to that night, what did you make of it? And obviously Martin's decision to leave the sport.
Yeah, look, it was the right decision. I love Martin Murray. I have so much respect for him. He's a great man, great man. I mean, not from the bottom of my heart, and I've enjoyed my time training with him. I really hope that I'll see him from time to time in the gym again, and I'm sure he will. Pop his head in every now and again. He's a great family as well. He is, in my opinion, the uncrowned champion of the world. He definitely beat Sergio Martinez in my eyes. Most people thought he beat Sturm as well. There was a shout that it was close enough against Abraham too. So he's done it the hard way. He fought Golovkin at the stage. He fought Golovkin. He took him the furthest that anyone had ever went with Golovkin. One of the hardest men I've ever met. I love him and respect him. He's a great guy. And he's got a real fan base now in Belfast as well. He used to come over to my fights when we were here, and he ended up. It's a mad story. He ended up on the Sunday morning. So the drinking laws in Belfast are shit. So on a Sunday, you're not allowed to go into a pub until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So the pubs are closed, not allowed to sell beer on a Sunday. So there's a few pubs that if you knock the door, they'll let you in. So he found one of these, which is round the corner, a famous pub called the Royal, where Alex Hurricane Higgins used to drink, and Martin and his mate Dino were like loyal members of the Royal Pub in Sandy Row now. It's amazing. They love him over there. He loves everyone over here. And yeah, he's a great guy, and he's had an amazing career, and one that he should be very proud of.
Just move away from Martin Velves on the night he lost to Billy Joe. Billy Joe has been mentioned as a name for Canelo Alvarez. Canelo obviously defeating Callum Smith by unanimous decision in a comfortable fashion in the end. But what do you make of Billy Joe's chances if he was to fight Canelo, or who do you think has the best chance on beating Canelo?
Billy Joe has certainly got a chance because he's a very good fighter, but I just see Canelo. Canelo's improving. It's mad to think that he's still improving. His performance against Callum Smith was brilliant. I think certainly Billy Joe has a chance, but I just don't see anyone in around the division beating him at this point in time or over the next few years. I really like that Caleb Plant. I think Plant out of them all would have a good chance. I remember seeing Caleb Plant sparring George Groves, and when I was in Vegas getting ready for the Santa Cruz fight, and I didn't know who Caleb Plant was at that time, but I remember thinking, who's this kid? He's an unreal fighter, and he's went on to improve a lot since then. So Caleb Plant certainly has a chance. I think he probably has the best chance out of that bunch of people that they're talking about. I don't see any of them beating him though. I think that a fight that I'd love to see, I don't think it would happen because I think it's just a step too far for him, is Beterbiev or Beterbiev, that fight in Canelo. But there's weight classes in this game for a reason. I think he picks the right guys at light heavyweight, like Kovalev. He picked Smith after the John Ryder performance. I don't think he would have went near him before the John Ryder performance. I think Beterbiev, I'd love to see the fight. I don't think it'll happen.
Carl, I just want to touch on the lightweights as well, because there's been a lot of excitement and talk about that division over these past week or so on the back of Ryan Garcia's victory against Luke Campbell. Just kind of moving forwards with that, Ryan Garcia has called out Gervonta Devin Haney. He's the mandatory for Devin Haney. What would you like to see next for
Garcia? I don't know. I don't think he needs to jump straight into one of the top boys in the division, like a Davis or a Lopez or a Lomachenko even, or a Haney. I think that another, maybe at least one, maybe two fights of a Luke Campbell type standard. And I don't know, maybe someone like Richard Comey, someone like that, would be a good fight for him because he's a very young kid. But going into the Luke Campbell fight, I fancied him to win the fight, but I was unsure. I wasn't like saying that with any degree of confidence. But he was very good in that fight, and I think that he won every minute of every round, apart from the time he got knocked down. And even when he got knocked down, it was a pretty heavy knockdown. Like his arm ended up behind him and stuff, but he got up and recovered, which is a credit to his fitness. And he probably won the rest of the round. I thought it was a good performance, very, very fast. I think his feet work could be improved on. He's a nice step back. Like he stepped out of range well. But if you look at obviously the best fighter in his camp, Canelo, and how he fights, like he moves his head well. He has a good step back, but his feet aren't brilliant. He doesn't move around the ring a lot. I think that Garcia is trying to implement Canelo's style a little bit, but he doesn't move his head as well as Canelo. Something he need to improve on. But I think the sky's the limit for the kid, and he's an absolute, he's a social media superstar. And we were all just waiting to find out the answer to the question if he can actually fight. And against Luke Campbell, he proved that he can.
Carl, the final thing from me, Amir Khan this week has come out saying he'd love to fight Brook this year now. Are you still interested in that fight? And if so, how do you think it would play out?
Look, I'd watch it, but it was a better fight 5 years ago. Who wins it now? I don't really know. It's just, it's a shame that if it happens, it probably will happen now. But I didn't even know that Khan had said that. You're the first. I haven't been on social media that much, so you're the first person that's told me this. It's kind of Just one of them ones. It's just obviously boys are in it for a few quid now, and that's what they want, and that's what this game's about, making money, isn't it? But um, it's two guys well past the best fighting each other. Um, I will watch it, but it's not one that if it was, it's going to be a UK fight, isn't it? So I'll watch it because it's at a good time. If it was in the middle of the night, I wouldn't get up to watch it. So, but I would have 5 years ago. So it doesn't really interest me that much, but it is what it is.
Right, Carl, we'll leave that one then. I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your evening and get back to your family. I appreciate your time. Thank you, Speak to Boxing Social.
Cheers, Andy. All the best, mate.